All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I of course want to start off by giving all praises and glories unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh who the world ignorantly calls God, and Yahweh Shai who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. The name of this video is going to be Why the Vatican City is Not Mystery Babylon. Okay, now, we've dealt with this topic many times throughout the years we've been doing YouTube, but the Spirit got on me again to want to go into this topic of discussion and show reasons and why this clearly just cannot be the case. And second of all, as I was thinking of doing this video, of course I went to my backup page and somebody left me a comment. And what did the comment say? On the video where I proved America was Babylon, somebody came in the comment section and said the Vatican's Babylon. Okay, or in other words, the Vatican City is Mystery Babylon. Okay, so we're going to get into it and we're going to show how this is not true. Okay, we're going to show why the Vatican City is not Mystery Babylon the Great. Okay, so go ahead and get your clipboard and some pens, and we're gonna totally bust this myth open and prove that Babylon the Great is talking about America only and is not talking about the Vatican City. Okay. Anyway, Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68 says, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way thereof I spake unto thee, and thou shalt see it no more again. But there you should be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall save you." Well, it says buy, but really the buying means saving. But that's another topic. Yeah, but the reason I'm going to the Old Testament to get that is I want to show you something. That is a prophecy of if the Israelites did not follow after the law, statutes, and commandments, they would be punished by the curses that are mentioned in the chapter there. Okay? But the reason why that's significant is, remember that it said, "I shall bring thee into Egypt." Okay? That's not talking about ancient Egypt, and I'm going to show you that. Okay? Let's go to the book of Revelation, the 11th chapter. Let's see. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 11 and verse 8. Here, hold on a second. Oh, that, I was looking at the 10th chapter. Mine has it weird, it's not set up like the regular Bible. But anyway, Revelation 11 and 8 says, "And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified." Right, so if one wants to be simple and say, well, it's actually talking about Sodom and Egypt, okay, well, the Lord wasn't crucified in Sodom and Egypt. It said spiritually Sodom and Egypt. Now, one's going to say, well, I suppose that could be America, but the Lord wasn't crucified in America. The Lord was crucified in Jerusalem. Well, when you deal with the context there, it's spiritually speaking of that. So the Lord wasn't physically crucified in America, but spiritually, who the world calls Jesus Christ, which his real name is Yahweh Shai, was crucified in the United States of America. Okay? So let's read that again. "And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of that great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified." Now, what is the connection between this verse in Revelation and the curses of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter? Well, we know from history that there's something called what's the word I'm looking for? The slave trade. Hey, couldn't remember it for a second. But anyway, for those who are familiar with it, Europeans basically brought over people from Africa, people of black skin color, brought them over to America and enslaved them here as slaves. And there was also people here in America who they call Indians, which are really the tribe of Gad and Reuben. But that's another video. um, which are also Israelites, may also mention, and the Africans are the Jews. So they were brought here to modern day Egypt, which is America, on slave ships, as the prophecy said, and they were put into bondage here. Okay, and that's why you're going to, the reason I mention this first is you're going to see, because they go to the verse that says she was drunken with the blood of the saints and say, well, see, that's the Vatican. That's not so, because America is drunken with the blood of the saints, because the saints are the Jews. Okay, Christians are not the saints. Okay, now you might have some people who claim to be Christians who actually might be saints. And have the Vatican killed saints? Yeah, they have. But so have the Russians. Okay, so could I then say Russia is Babylon then? And the answer is no. Because when you deal with the whole context, even though it is true that maybe some people were killed by say, the Vatican, right? Or even the Chinese, um, even though that could be true, when you deal with the whole context of what the scriptures say, it's referring to America. Because again, the Israelites, you so-called blacks, were taken to America, aka Egypt, on slave ships, as the prophecy said would happen. That did not happen in the Vatican. Nobody went, the Israelites were never taken into slavery in the Vatican. It never happened. And it will never happen, because the Vatican is not Babylon. America is Babylon. Okay? Um, let's see. So I had to get that just to start the video with. Okay? Because you had to understand that before you even, try to deal with the scriptures. Let's just jump right over to the main place where we read about Babylon. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, we'll just start at Revelation 17th chapter, and the first verse. It says, "And there come one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, and he talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sits upon many waters," which is what? That's talking about America, with who the kings of the earth had committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth had been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Right, every nation followed after the customs of the United States. One proof of this is woman's liberty. Okay, how a woman is liberated now to where she is equal, if not above, a man, and that really is a curse that the Lord put upon a man. And that goes to what is that? The book of Jeremiah, the 31st chapter. All right, the Lord have created a new thing in the earth: a woman shall compass a man. Yeah, because a woman is underneath a man, but in this society, a woman is above a man. Okay, that's why a woman can divorce you. When you deal with the Holy Book, only a man can divorce a woman. Okay, women are insignificant when you deal with the Bible. The Holy Apocrypha says the wisdom of a woman is foolishness. The Apocrypha also says that a woman is a possession. All right, he that gets a wife begins a possession. Okay, that's what the Holy Apocrypha says, which is part of the Bible, may also add. Because a lot of these cats that say that Babylon is the Vatican, they also don't know about this book. Okay, which this is part of the Bible, by the way. Okay, it goes right in between the Old Testament. Well, I should say after the Old Testament, but before the New Testament. Okay, for those who didn't know. Anyway, so he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Yeah, the wilderness, or really just deal with it this way: the woman is America, and the beast is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Okay, also known as NATO. Okay, that's what the beast is. The beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, which America sits upon that beast, because America is the head of NATO. Okay, you have to understand these things in order to understand what the scriptures are talking about. Right, because you'll see the breakdowns from the Christians. Oh, that, it's talking about the beast that came out of the, bottomless pit, which you'll see it later. That's talking about the Antichrist. Inside joke. Says having 7 heads and 10 horns, and the woman, and this is where they get mixed up here. It says, and the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with stones and precious, with precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. that they'll read that and say, well, see, that's the Vatican, because for one, the Vatican's, the priests of the Vatican, they wear a purple and a scarlet color robe, and they also have a lot of gold. So see, that has to prove that Babylon is the Vatican. That's not so. Because for one, when you deal with the scriptures, so you're telling me that we can go from talking about insects that have the heads of a man, that's in Revelation 9th chapter, which is not talking about what it said. And we can go here and you're going to tell me that everything else that we can show you to prove our point is wrong just because of this one verse? No, y'all are smoking cracula. Look that word up. We're kind of like an inside joke. Rock upon him knows what I mean. Anyway, let's see. And upon her forehead there was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Yeah, and that's what America is, right? The mother of harlots. All wickedness in this modern time comes from the United States. Hillary Clinton said it herself when she was running for office. Once something is pushed in America, the whole world follows. That's how it works. Why? Because as it says in the last verse of the chapter, that the woman that you saw is the city that reigns over the kings of the earth. And what is that city? That city is America, Babylon the Great. That's not talking about the Vatican City. Okay, the Vatican is bullshit. Okay, nobody gives a shit about the Vatican. And excuse my language, but the scriptures say, though I am rude in speech, I'm not in knowledge. Let's see. Another big stumbling block. Verse 6, and I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Yahushai. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. Right. Now, they use this and say, well, see, the Vatican was drunk with the blood of the saints because they killed the Christians. And that is true. They did kill the Christians, but you Christians are not the saints. The saints are the Jews. And the Jews are you blacks. Okay, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the Lord's chosen people. But you do have confusion to face Israelites who look like the heathen, like myself. I look like I'm an Edomite. But guess what? Through the father's side of the family, we go back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, even though we now look like the heathen. Okay? The scriptures tell you, what is that? The book of Daniel, the 12th chapter, that the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand. So, yeah, so if you have a white man who understands the prophecy of these scriptures, and really the book in general, well, then that man is a great possibility that man is actually a Jew, okay, an actual descendant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So even though he looks like a white man, he really goes back to a black man, okay? That's why you have something called, mix, okay? You have people who are certain, mixes. And how does that happen? You have, say for an example, let's give it a good example. I was going to think of an animal to use, but I can't think of the name of it. So we'll skip that. But say for an example, that white man sleeps with a black woman. Okay, so an Edomite man slept with a black woman, so the child might come out looking blackish, but he's still an Edomite because on the father's side of the family, it goes back to Esau, but they might look like an Israelite. Okay, so you have blacks who look like Edomites, or let me rephrase myself, blacks who look like Israelites but are actually Edomites, and you have Edomites, or people who look like Edomites who are actually Israelites. Okay, you just wait for this to go by real quick. What the hell is going on? All right. Right, of course, when I'm recording, it has to happen, but it couldn't happen 10 minutes before, right? But anyway, I digress. Anyway, it says, and the angel said unto me, wherefore dost thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman, and the beast that carries her, which has the 7 heads and the 10 horns. The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and shall go into perdition. What is that talking about? America, and this is what you have to understand. America is Rome, okay? So when you guys say Rome is Babylon, in a way they are correct, but they are incorrect as well, because they're saying that over in Italy is Babylon. That's not true. America is Babylon, but America is Rome, Okay? Just look up online parallels between America and ancient Rome. And it just, there's no way to deny that America is Rome. Okay? So Babylon is Rome. However, modern day Rome is America. Okay? It's not talking about Italy. Y'all are going way the hell off with that. Okay, so in a way, hey, as D. McClung said, he was right until he was wrong. Yeah, so y'all were right, but then you were wrong. In the same sentence, may I also add. Um, let's see. And she'll go into perdition, right? You know, the beast that came out of the bottomless pit is America, because the bottomless pit is Europe. You shall go into, yep, perdition means destruction. It says, and they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they beheld the beast that was and is not and yet is. Yeah, and again, the beast that was not and yet is America, because America is Rome in this modern time. How it was the beast there, because Rome ruled before, but then it fell, but then it rose back into power. Okay, so Rome rose back into power by way of the United States, because America is Rome. Okay, you have to understand that. Okay, it says, here is the mind which has wisdom, and this is where they go off once again. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. It'll read it and say, well, Rome has 7 hills. It's called the city of 7 hills. Which, again, to the average simp, reading this, I could see why someone might say this is the Vatican. I could see that, but when you deal with it truly, that clearly is not the case. Because the 7 heads, as it's going to tell you as we read on, are actually 7 kingdoms. All right, now, the 7 kingdoms, I don't know it off the top of my head, but you can, watch other videos we done on it, breaking down the 7 heads. Okay, I'm not going to do it right here. We're going to go relatively quickly through this. We're not going to do an intense breakdown. But as we read the chapters, this one and the next one, I'm going to break down the verses that clearly show it's America and is not the Vatican, as I'm doing now. Okay, but if you want the deep breakdowns, you can find them on our channel, or, even the Elders of GMS, Great Millstone. Even they have the breakdowns on there. Okay, so they're out there. You just got to look for them. It says, and there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, the one is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, we must continue a short space. Right, and again, we gave that breakdown before, so I'm not going to elaborate on everything here. It says, and the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goes into perdition. Yeah, America is the 8th, which came out of the 7. Because again, the 7 heads are 7 kingdoms. They're not talking about 7 mountains. They're not talking about the 7 hills of Rome. Okay? Good observation, though, but you're wrong. For those who say it's the Vatican. Let's see. And the 10 horns which thou saw upon the beast are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that are with him, I gotta laugh, man. Because, guys read that. I had the Sikari debated one dude on there who said that the lion, right, the lamb is talking about a feminine, right, a woman. Okay, it's not what's the word I'm looking for? It's not a male, but it's talking about a woman. I mean, I just gotta laugh about that. I haven't seen a sucker that soft since Funicula, and I'm not even being sarcastic. Let's see. And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the whore sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Yeah, and why is that? Because when you deal with, as it went back to the top verse, the first verse of the chapter says that, this great whore that sat upon many waters. But what are those waters? We just jumped down to the 15th verse. The waters are talking about multitudes of people. And what is America known as? America is known as a great melting pot. Okay? Because here you can find all nations, all nationalities, all religions, everything. It's just nothing but massive confusion. First of all, the word Babal, right, or Babylon, means confusion. Okay? The word America means bitter, by the way, for those who didn't know, by very definition. And you can look that up if you don't believe me. But anyway, that clearly shows America's Babylon. Let's see. It says, and the 10 horns which thou saw upon the beast, which again, the beast is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Okay? These shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and they shall burn her with fire. Yeah, so what's going to happen is in the near future, NATO is going to turn against the United States and is going to shoot nukes on the United States of America. That is the prophecy that it's talking about here, is that something's going to happen where America is going to become enemies with the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. And then they're all going to team together as one. Because remember, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization is just an assembly of nations that are teamed together. So they're all going to shoot nukes on the United States. And if that's not the case, well, how can a nation burn a nation? I mean, are the Russians going to fly over here and fly on helicopters and, drop matches and gasoline out the side of the helicopter? Come on, that's foolishness. All right? There's a reason why these weapons of mass destruction were created. That's in the book of Isaiah 54 and verse 16. All right? The Lord said, I am the one who created the smith that blows the coals in the fire, and that brings forth an instrument of his work, and I have created the waster to destroy. So the Lord created these nukes. That's in when you read Revelation, the 9th chapter, the 200 million army is actually talking about nuclear missiles. But that's another breakdown. I'm not going to get off into that. I'm just making a reference to it. Okay? It says, for Yahweh have put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of Yahweh shall be fulfilled. Yes, the Lord is going to put it into their hearts to make war with the United States. Okay? So that's that prophecy. First of all, let's just say for argument's sake that the Vatican is Babylon. Let's just say that. Now we know the Vatican's Babylon. Who or what is going to hate the Vatican? Nobody cares about the Vatican. The Vatican is insignificant. Okay? So why would, these guys say, yeah, the beast is America and the whore is the Vatican. Okay, well, why would America turn on the Vatican? Here, hold on a second. All right, I apologize about that. I just had to handle a message that somebody sent me, a important message. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Let's get into this. Verse 18, and the woman which, let me turn the page, and the woman which thou sawest is that great city that reigns over the kings of the earth. Now again, if these cats say that Babylon the Great is the woman, well, by default it says the woman is that city that reigns over the kings of the earth. So in the next chapter, it's going to go into this city as it's being destroyed. So I'm going to show you how this has to be America. This cannot be the Vatican, because by statistical fact, what the scriptures say does not come close to what the Vatican is. So again, the scriptures say, Isaiah 28 and verse 10, precept has to be upon precept, here a little and there a little, to get the understanding of the scriptures. Okay, and these cats, they can't do that. They don't go precept upon precept. First of all, they can't even remember any precepts. Okay, they can't do it because they're not intelligent enough to do so. Okay, anyway, I pretty much will probably read the entire chapter, but as I go through, I'm going to break it down and clearly show this is not talking about the Vatican. This is only referring to America. Okay? Slovakia, look at that real quick. Give me a second. Okay. Okay, let's see. This is Revelation chapter 18 and verse 1. It says, and after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, it has become the habitation of devils, and a hole of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants. Let me read that again. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are wax rich for the abundance of her delicacies. Now, before I explain that, I want to apologize real quick. If you see me stutter a little bit, the reason why is because I just got done with a 3 hour debate that I had with somebody this morning. So there's a lot of talking in that. So it's lucky if I stutter a little bit. But I've been talking for a couple hours on end, quite literally. So just in case anyone was wondering. So now you know. Hey, mystery solved. Inside joke. Anyway, yeah, we got to read that verse again because this clearly shows it's America. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich for the abundance of her delicacies. The Vatican has no delicacies. The Vatican has nothing. If you do your research, which I've done it, and that's why I can boldly proclaim what I so boldly proclaim. The Vatican's yearly imports are roughly $30 million. Okay, roughly $30 million is their yearly, money they get for their imports. However, America's yearly imports are about $2.21 trillion. That's right, with a T, not a B, with a T, trillion. Okay, there is no comparison. If we were to compare those two, that would be like me dropping a penny into say for example, a swimming pool. Let's just say that. Okay? If I drop one penny into an empty swimming pool, you can barely even see it. Okay? That would represent the Vatican's wealth. But if we take another swimming pool and we completely drain the water and fill it to the brim, an overflow of pennies, that would represent America's money compared to the Vatican. So again, statistically speaking, by the facts, y'all who say the Vatican's Babylon, you guys don't know much. Okay, I mean, come on, I mean, y'all have to be smoking Cracula or something. Okay? Anyway, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come at her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Yeah, and that, the Lord's going to save the elect when America is destroyed. And there's no secret rapture, no pre-plague rapture, right? Or a pre-tribulation rapture, as certain people coin it. That's not going to happen. There's one time when the Lord will return. And when he returns is when the elect will receive salvation. It's not talking about beforehand. The elect will not receive salvation until after the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ returns. Okay? And then after the world calls Christ returns is when the elect will receive salvation. Okay? Verse 7. Actually, let's go back up. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yahweh have remembered her iniquities. Yeah, America's sins reached unto heaven. All nations followed after this nation. Okay? Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double, according to the works which ye have filled. Let me read that again. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double, according to her works. And the cup which she hath filled to her double. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she says in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine. And she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord God who judges her. And the kings of the earth, who have committed fornication, and lived deliciously with her, they shall bewail her, and lament for her, when they shall see the smoke of her burning. Now let's stop there for a second. So, and this also cuts the doctrine that Babylon is the entire world. I mean, for one, if that was the case, if we just read Babylon's going to be set on fire, how are people going to be standing places on the world watching Babylon burn if Babylon is the entire world? That's not logical. Okay? And how can this not be the Vatican City? Well, we just read about how great this place is. And again, statistically speaking, the Vatican City is insignificant. So again, anybody who's saying that the Vatican is Babylon is a damn fool. They don't know nothing. The word fool means unlearned. So you're completely unlearned if you're saying the Vatican is Babylon. Like, what is that? CHI, the tried and refined Israelites. But the Lord took the oil from them. You don't see those guys out anymore. They don't go on the street. They don't even make any videos. Because the Lord isn't dealing with that group. The CHI. Now, let's see. Uh, Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buys their merchandise anymore. Yes, if let's just say, let's give an example. Let's say today, right? What is it? June the 22nd, 2020. If the Vatican was destroyed right now as I'm making this video, who cares? I mean, does it affect me? Do I give a shit? Do I really care? I don't care. I mean, just like I remember, I believe it was a year ago now, well, a little bit over a year, that the cathedral was taken down. Not sure exactly what one it was, but there was a great, cathedral that was set on fire. It ended up surviving. It was badly burnt, but it did survive. But that was on the TV. Everybody was looking at it for maybe a day. But then after, who cares? That's old news. Like this whole coronavirus, right? Last month, all you could hear is Corolla this, Corolla that, Corolla, that. That's all you could hear. But now, it's old news. And it's true. Now it's old news. That's how the Vatican would be. Everybody, for the first couple hours, maybe even the first day, everybody would be like, oh, that's so terrible. But after 5 minutes of, looking at the news article or watching the news, then they'll go back to playing, their video games, or going back to, doing their schoolwork, or, whatever it is that they were previously doing, right? Cooking dinner, you know what I'm saying? Everybody go back to it, because nobody cares about the Vatican. The Vatican is insignificant. It's just a fact. This cannot be argued. Anybody who argues this is a damn fool. It's just that simple. All right? I mean, it's illogical foolishness. All right? But if America was destroyed right now, that's the end of the world. The world cannot survive without the United States. And it is a fact. Why? Because as it says, this city reigns over the kings of the earth. Every nation follows after this country. If this country was not here, that'd be the end of the world. So if America was to be destroyed this minute, the whole world would be looking. Everybody would be in shock. It would be 9/11 would be nothing compared to this. And I should say it will be nothing compared to this, because it will happen one day. Why? Because the scriptures say so. So since the scriptures say that, that's what's going to happen. And if you disagree, well, you better check yourself then. Okay? Any logical thinking human being can look into the world right now. We can put the Bible aside for a second. But just looking at the world,